So back to your initial thread where you are discussing about new generation and opening DJ. I spoke to quite a lot of Gen Z DJs on my podcast, and that was actually a few months ago when I saw that thread, and then I spoke to them about it, and their common consensus was like, there's no such thing as opening. You just go in and bang, and then the next DJ bang, and then it's based on your followers. If your followers come, it doesn't matter what the previous person plays. That's their philosophy. What are your thoughts on that?
It's such the wrong mentality, and I was getting like two sides of the spectrum on that thread because, I was just sitting there like creating threads because I got advice from somebody like, if you can create controversy on threads or like Twitter or any of these platforms, kind of like what John Summit does, you'll get some people away, like you'll shoo some people away, but you'll gain the fans that like really agree with you, in that mindset. So I was just trying things out, and I started that thread about opening DJs, and it got a lot of results. Like, I definitely shooed away and got a lot of DJs away from me, which is totally fine. You're not going to please everybody, but the people that were agreeing with me were all saying the same things. And, let's call them my haters, were saying like, I think one kid was basically trying to hate on me, saying like, that's not right. Like you said, you should be banging it out. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm trying to showcase what I do. And I'm like, well, that's not the right mentality for the room, right? Because now at 10 o'clock, when people are casually coming in, trying to grab a drink and just kind of like chill before like the night starts, you're sitting there playing 150 BPM. They're like, already like dumbed out of their mind. They want to leave by like 12 o'clock, and they don't realize like, yeah, great, you did a great job, you made a fan, but you're hurting the club, you're hurting the DJ after you, you're hurting the revenue of the club because people are leaving because they're already like banged out from that, right? And not only that, but like I started as a opening DJ for a lot of the bigger guys. Like when I was 19 years old and I made it out of the teen nights, I started opening up for like, my first big opening was for Afrojack. And then I started with Zed and Sonny James and Ryan Marciano, and then Rehab, and then all of these, Dyro at the time, and all of these big guys. And I was literally just opening for them just so I can talk to them and get a relationship with them. And, through that opening, I would do the research. I would go before and say, okay, what was Afrojack playing in his sets? I would go on, his radio shows or 1001 track lists, and I would say, okay, he's playing these records. Let me stay away from this. If I did download a new record, I would just make sure he hasn't played it in the last month or two. Okay. Then I would prepare my set. I would prepare folders of like energy levels, right? So I would start the night with maybe tracks I thought were energy level 5. I treated them like Uno cards. So I would start with a couple 5s, then I would go from a 5 to a 6, and I would go a little bit higher. And my goal was to bring the energy right here so that when the headliner played his first track, the club exploded. And then I did my job as an opener. And not only did I please the promoters and the venue and everything else, but I also made a relationship with like the bigger DJs because I properly opened, and I think that's a lost art today, especially with like this ADHD crowd. And I don't want to say that for anyone that has that disability. I'm sorry I put it that way, but like it's true because we're living in this time where like people, like I always say like a house party, like I don't know if it happens for you, but like I have a younger brother, and when he was like 18, he would play a song, let it play for 30 seconds, and then he would switch to the next song. And it's like, that's what you want them to do as a DJ. So like, you got to remember, like these kids could have every song or any song like with just pressing a button. Back in our day, we couldn't do that. You had to download the music. There was no such thing as streaming, right? So they could have any song demand that they want. So they come from an era where they want things on demand, and they think that like, if I do X, Y, and Z, then I'll get success, because I'm playing the same set as Fisher or John Summit. But that's not how you get success, I think, in this industry. I think it's more about paying your dues, gaining respect, doing the right things the right way. I say by this invisible DJ book that like it's like a book that's not actually written, and you have to like learn the book as you go on. And I feel like for me, I was able to have a lot of respect in my career because I've done things by that book. Paying my dues and doing all that. And I just don't think it's the right way. I think that mentality won't get you far. It'll get you short-term success, but it won't help you in the long run.
Yeah, it's kind of like a code of conduct. At the end of the day, it's just to be a decent human being, you know. Like a lot of new DJs are always thinking like, okay, if I get good at being an opening DJ, then that's what I'll be known for. Then people will just keep hiring me to be an opening DJ, and that's the end of my career. I believe that's what they are thinking, which is why the moment they have an opportunity, like for example, if they are opening for Fisher or something, then they will like, you know, start attacking some big tracks or something, and in a bit of like maybe making the headliner don't look good so that they can look good in that sense. But like what you say, that's not really the right thing to do. Maybe you win this night, right? But your career is not just about one night, right? It's about decades.
It spans decades.
Persistence.
Exactly. And like that's such like a bad mentality, because by being the opening DJ, you could understand how the night works, how the night's supposed to flow, how to keep bookers happy. Because if you're not making music, then your job is to basically keep bookers happy at the end of the day, right? Now, if you're banging it out at 10 o'clock, like you're not going to make the bookers happy, like I just told you, because people are going to leave or whatever. But like for me now, because I was an opening DJ, I understand the flow of the night. I understand that at 10 o'clock when the doors open, people are walking in, they're not ready to fucking, you know, rage or whatever. They need to like walk in, grab a drink, keep it slow, but like they need some space to dance. They need like to hear like just like a nice, you know, 125, 124 BPM type of stuff. And I love going to clubs early to hear the opening DJs play, because I love that style of music. And then as the night progresses, you get this buildup of energy, and then this magic starts to happen, right? Where like the energy's picking up, the people are flooding in, people are starting to get a little drunk. Like it's this magic that makes the night memorable, and it's this roller coaster of a journey. And for me, like that's the magic of what I knew as clubs. Like I loved the journey of like walking in, hanging out, talking to people, then dancing, then doing this. Like that's the roller coaster. And I think now as being an opening DJ and now being a headliner, if I have a bad opener, now I try not to like get angry, because I'll always be the guy, especially as a coach, to be like, hey man, you did a great job, but you should do this next time from a headliner's perspective. But it makes my job frustrating, because I know I have to reset the room, because if I go on and the guy's playing big room 128, well, I'm like, and they're not feeling it because he's been playing it for the last, or she's been playing it for the last 30 minutes. Well, now I have to come in and reset the room, and I can't do my big intro or whatever. I have to reset the room and maybe play hip hop for like 5-10 minutes and then play my big intro and reset it, because they didn't do a good job of keeping people at the bar or keeping people dancing, you know? But I always will at the end of the night say, hey, this is what you did wrong, in my opinion, and I think next time if you open for me or the other guy, they would appreciate if you did it like this, which is gradual buildup of energy. So,
right, agree. But certain times, right, depending on the country also, the warm-up differs. Like very good example, right, is in Singapore. At my time at Zouk, we are not able to play like a proper warm-up, at least back in the day. Now probably people more educated, right? Like maybe like 2017, 2018, the warm-up set literally leading to the guest DJ is usually like big room stuff, because if you don't do the big room stuff, the crowd just simply wouldn't come in. And then like maybe 15 minutes or half an hour before the headliner, we would like down it to like, you know, maybe house or deep house or something, to kind of like give it like a semblance of an actual warm-up. But it's basically not an actual warm-up, because if we were to do the real warm-up where we like, I don't know, start from deep house to maybe like piano house to like, you know, something that's like a level 7 or 8 energy, the crowd wouldn't even show up, you know, everybody would just go to the hip hop room. And that's like the consumer behavior here. And that's why we have to like kind of like trick them to like come into the room and fulfill our role as like opening DJ. So I can understand why certain times when like international DJs come and then they look at us like, what the heck are we doing? It's like we are doing like some sort of like reverse warm-up in a way, but that's just how the consumer behavior is like here in like 2016, 2017. But now I think the taste has kind of evolved to be a little bit similar to what international is looking like, which is a great news, you know.
But I think you can still do that without going over a certain point, right? Like as long as you're not playing what the headliner would play or whatever, then that's totally fine. But like in some of our rooms, especially in New York where they're expecting hip hop, like it's okay to dip down to hip hop, because if I'm the big room DJ, like, and I'm playing all the bangers, just don't play the same bangers as me, you know, like, and
Yep.
you take a guy
Very
like me
important.
where I will dip down into hip hop. I love dipping down to hip hop, even if it's only for 3 songs and then I bring it back up, especially where I'm playing a lot of 140, 150 BPM EDM and the hip hop's at 70 or 75, like the Drake records. I'm going right down and coming right back up, you know? So I wouldn't look at it like that. As long as you're not playing my records or anything that I would play in my set and you did your research, then I'm totally cool with that, especially if that's what the night calls for. I think it's not about, like I always say, you could have the same records as me, but you'll never play them like I play them, you know? So I think it's about how you're playing the records. Like if you're banging stuff out like every minute, big room, then big room, then big room, okay, then maybe you're doing a little bit too much energy, right? But if you're letting those big room records play out for maybe the 3 or 4 minutes, and then you're going to the next one, very smooth mixing, like you're not, you know, doing anything crazy, then I think they're not doing 1, 2, 3, everybody fucking jump like right before the headliner. Like, you know, then it's fine. I think that's totally fine. Like you're not always going to get that same opening set. So there's ways to do it. It's just tasteful ways of doing it.
Correct. And it really takes years to kind of like master this, because there really isn't a right way. That's why it's so hard for people to like kind of like tell you, unless they are there to like physically watch your set and give you on-site feedback, which is like such a tedious thing to do, you know. You probably need to pay someone to do that.
Well, the right way of doing it is doing it the wrong way. And that's crazy oxymoron the way it sounds, but I didn't get to where I was if I didn't make those mistakes of knowing, okay, like I opened too hard this night, let me switch it the next night, or a booker was mad at me because I did it this way. Like making those mistakes is what makes you where you are today, you know? Like if it burns a bridge and ruins a relationship, okay, then do your best to amend that. But like most times it doesn't, and you just take that feedback and, you know, you keep going. But what I feel like with the Gen Z DJs is like, I'll give them feedback and they get offended and they're like, no, that's not right. Dude, it's not, this is like, it's not me coming at you. I'm giving you advice that I've used with my 15 years of experience and my success to do it. Do it this way next time, and maybe you'll get a better result, you know? But they get very offended and they get like, you know, taken back from it. Like it's like a trip to their ego. It's not that. I'm just trying to help you out in this with all of the mistakes I've made. And that's, like you said, like you wish you had somebody like that. Well, that's where I step in as a mentor for these guys, you know, in my PURARI Production Academy, because I'm not just teaching them how to make music, which obviously that's the biggest thing here, is like I'm teaching them how to produce music, but I'm also there as an artist coach where they're saying, well, I need to do this in my career, or this happened that night. What can I do to help? Well, now you have me as like an on-demand guy where like it's like a hotline where it's like I can answer you and do that. I'm not doing that for everybody nowadays. I stick with my core students because those are the guys that are a reflection of me. And if you take a look at like guys like Solano, right? So Solano is one of my students, and he just recently had support from Tiesto playing his Spaceman remix, I think in Singapore. I don't think it was Zouk though. I think it was Marquee. Maybe. Yeah. So he, and again, he's been frustrated the last couple months. He's not getting booked in Jersey. He's like, my music's so big, yada, 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 but like, I'm not getting booked. And I say, patient young grasshopper, it's going to happen for you, right? Like, just wait. And then sure enough, he wakes up one morning and he gets a notification. Tiesto played your Spaceman remix at Marquee, Singapore. And he has the video footage of it, and he's like, oh my God, like this is crazy, you know, and now he's inspired and motivated again. But he's another one that's like looking at this Jersey scene and not getting booked. But I'm like telling him, dude, just be patient, relax. I'm in his corner, like reassuring him that it's going to happen. Just keep producing, keep producing. And now he's back on his horse producing, and things are starting to happen for him. But it takes a while. And that if he wanted to be that big room bass house DJ, then he's got to keep producing. He can't keep playing the bar down the street and thinking that opportunity is going to happen for him, because it won't. And yeah, it sucks. He can't DJ. He can't make his money. He had to get a full-time job, which is totally fine. But at the same time, there's going to be a point where he could now let go of that full-time job because he's playing and touring so much and making a good amount of money.